professor at Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He is also an adjunct professor at the National Institute of Advanced Studies, IISc, Bangalore. He was formerly a distinguished scientist and Director General, Life Sciences in DRDO till 2016, that is 2013 to 16. Prior to this, he was Chief Controller R&D Life Sciences, DRDO. He was also the Director, Defense Institute of Psychological Research for about 9 years. He holds a PhD degree from Calcutta University and started his career as a lecturer at Banaras Hindu University in 1983. Dr. Mandal completed his postdoctoral research at Delaware University as Fulbright Fellow USA in 1986 to 87 and at Waterloo University as an International Scientific Exchange Aberdeen, Canada in 1994. He was a professor of psychology at the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, IIT Kharagpur, prior to joining DRDO in 2004. Dr. Mandal was also a visiting professor at Kyushu University in Japan in 1997 and 2010 to 11. During 2003, he was a Fulbright visiting lecturer at the Harvard University, USA. Dr. Mandal also served as Fulbright Nehru visiting professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Mandal received various research fellowships and awards at national and international levels, such as Indo-Canadian Shastri Fellowship, Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada Award, Fulbright Fellowship, Semakedi Award, German Academic Exchange, that is DART. And then he had, in 2005, Dr. Mandal and his team were given away Agni Award for Excellence in Self-Reliance for the contribution towards the development of computerized pilots selection system for Air Force. For his overall contribution to psychological sciences, he was elected as a Fellow of National Association of Psychology in India in 2012. And for his contribution to military psychology, he was given away the Technology Leadership Award by the Defense Minister of India and the Scientist of the Year Award by the Prime Minister of India in 2006. Dr. Mandal specializes in the areas of neuropsychology and cognitive sciences. He has his credit with 14 books, over 100 research papers in international and Indian journals of high repute. These works are cited in more than 300 international journals and books with well over 5,000 citations. Well, I welcome you, sir. You are the professor par excellence. The session is yours. Please.
Okay, Dr. Fareen, tell me whether I am audible or not.
Yes, sir.
Clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you have to tell me whether my slides are visible or not. Is it visible? The slides are visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Somebody has to help me out because it's a one-way communication.
Sir, they are visible, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I would strongly recommend you, because we are all colleagues. I presume that you are all teachers, professors in different institutions. So let us not make a teacher-taught relationship. Let us have some kind of discussions. You can interrupt me at any point of time.
Thank you, sir.
You can ask me a question anytime that you feel. So it would be better, because then I would understand that, well, what I have been speaking to you is true to you. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So time to time, request you to Nod me, tell me, yes, no, question, anything, because next 1 hour to 40 minutes, 1 hour, 10 minutes, I'll be talking to you. Of course, then it would be open for discussions to all of you. Well, from Philadelphia, it is good morning to all of you. Sun is just rising here. I'm currently at School of Medicine in University of Pennsylvania. But it's, of course, good evening for all of you. It must be around 4:30, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Okay, time to time, just keep your mic open at times, some of you at least, not everybody, so that I get to know that, yes, you are getting me what I wanted to. So first of all, thank you, Dr. Fareen, for giving me this opportunity to speak to my people. It's very important that while I teach here in University of Pennsylvania, I'll be back soon, but for the last several months, I've been in this university getting faces which are not known to me. Therefore, anytime that you meet your own people, it gives a different sensation. So I'm thrilled, I'm happy, I'm really interested in telling you what we wanted to give it to you. Well, the issue of what I'm going to speak to you is something not very usual, in the sense that we don't speak about these subject matters everywhere. Neither every institution has a course structure like this. Now, why have I chosen what I'm going to talk to you? First, I must give you the rationale. I have chosen it because after 40 years of teaching, I could realize that students, when they come for the classes and go back home, they go back home with a slightly pensive mood, I would say. Happy about what they have registered. Tell me one more question. Should I tell everything in English, or I should also introduce certain examples in Hindi?
The participants hail from throughout India, sir, all over India.
So it would be better if I continue with English.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's a benefit to me, because many people say that, well, since I belong to a different part of the country, I belong to Calcutta. So I have a different language as mother language. But anyway, I would love to speak in English only. So the point I'm trying to make here, I'm primarily a neuropsychologist. I work on brain. I work on, more specifically, on brain damage and the functional architecture of the brain. So last 40 years I have been teaching, and I taught in 3 different kinds of institutions. In Banaras Hindu University, I taught about 15, 16 years. Then in Indian Institute of Technology over a decade, about 12, 13 years. And then in R&D organization in DRDO, about 15 years. Both as an administrator, as Director General of DRDO, as well as a scientist, a different scientist. So university system, IIT system, and R&D system. I had the opportunity to teach in 3 different kinds of systems. And everywhere I have noticed that when you instruct somebody through teaching, you are pushing a load inside someone's mind. So after I retired from DRDO, entered into once again to IIT system, I decided that I'll teach about a course or develop a course, which I never taught, develop a course which would benefit to any subject matter. Because most of my time was in with engineers, because in IIT as well as in DRDO, where we had about 8,000 engineers with us as faculty. I found that the subject matter that we want to push in somebody's mind or head requires a good way of talking about it. And the good way is not about teaching pedagogy I'm talking about what is that we must say at some point of time in their career. So I thought that we should start something called the science of happiness. And it's a subject matter where we get scientists, hardcore scientists, engineers, literature, and social science people, everybody. Today in this course in IIT Kharagpur, we are actually getting faculty from all quarters. We have engineers, we have mathematicians, we have psychologists, we have economists, we have literature persons, we have people from all walks of life. So I thought today I'll give you a flavor of that course, which I introduced in IIT Kharagpur with the help of an alumnus who was called as Satinder Singh Rekhi, now placed in California. He actually created this center with a fund. And based on that, we developed this science of happiness. But this happiness, I would like to tell you right at the outset, we are not interested in talking about the art of happiness. How I can make you happy is not my interest at all. My interest is to tell you what is the science behind it. Why are we not happy? Is it a choice or a compulsion? If happiness is a choice, everybody believes that it can be a choice, then why 90% of the people in this world are unhappy? So the question is it a choice? Is it a compulsion? With this question, we started this course. And I'll try to tell you what we are going to do. Now, when we talk about happiness, most people ask these questions to me. How do you define happiness? I know each one of you have a definition on your own. You believe what you believe, that this is the way happiness should be defined. I know, and I am not going to contradict with you. You can, of course, question me. What we devised, that it's a science of insight, awareness, and innovation. We do not call it a science of calmness, peace, or comfort. That I want to be comfortable, I want to have peace, I want to have calmness in my mind. This is the reason why I want to be happy. We don't say that. It's a different approach. Our approach says that if our students are happy, then they will develop a lot of insight. They will develop a lot of awareness. They can make a lot of innovation. These things are important. Why? In my teaching career, I found most of the discoveries that we do, not me, I mean, we as a community, always do not come from thinking. Many of these innovations come out of blinking. we blink and suddenly something comes up, an insight comes to you, and you come up with a new way of looking at things, which we call as discovery. So if you are happy, then your mental aperture opens up. And if your mental aperture opens up, you absorb a lot of materials which are not first entered in your head. It comes to you automatically. The reason being that it interests you. I can give you an example. If I ask you to remember 12 names, you will take about 12 minutes. And then if I want you to repeat it, you will miss out at least 5, 6. It means 50% of what we read is generally lost, even after making full effort. But let me tell you, you listen to a song for 12 minutes. And then next 12 years, you don't forget, even if you do not listen to it second time. Because it interests you. And we have found through songs, through dreams, through your psychological makeup, through your reorientation, through your awareness, through your insight, you actually absorb much more material, register much more input, which we try to give it to our students. So the idea is that instead of pushing a lot of information into our students' head, if we can open up their mental aperture first and then try to help them understand, probably it would be a better effort. That's the first reason. Initially, I'd go a little slow, then I'd go a little fast. Then we say happiness is a process, it's not a target to achieve. That is, we say it's a journey, not a destination. If I want to reach somewhere as a destination, you will reach and you will be happy for a given moment of time. But then, suppose when you did not get a job, that happened with me as well. I came to job in 1982, January. I thought if I get a job, probably I'll be the happiest person in this world. Well, I got it. God's grace, Almighty helped me. But within 6 months of getting the job, I started thinking when I'll be promoted next. And that started giving me a lot of unhappiness, that I'm not doing well. I'm not getting the best what is due to me. So I must try to achieve it. There is no harm in trying to achieve it. What I'm trying to tell you that, well, I started giving more effort, but with a bit of anxiety and unhappiness. So if you reach the next stage, you once again become happy for some time. Then you go back once again to the earlier state of unhappiness and anxiety. So what I mean to say that every time you reach a target, you just don't become happy altogether. What I mean to say is that even today, after becoming assistant professor to associate professor to professor to now distinguished professor, I'm still not happy. The point I'm trying to make here is not me, the phenomenon of happiness, that it's a journey, not a destination. So let us not think that once you achieve certain thing, you would be happy. Therefore, we neither prescribe how to get happiness, not try to describe it. You have to get happiness on your own. You have to have your own formula. You have to have your own way of having it. The third thing we say that it's a science of understanding self, others, and the community in which we live in. That is, we believe that much of our unhappiness is because of the fact that we try to understand others without understanding ourselves. And as a result of which, we make a mistake, become unhappy, develop frustration. Let me tell you, understanding others are very easy. You don't require the knowledge of psychology. I spent 40 years in psychology, but I still don't understand people. Maybe slightly better than you, but not very significant. Probably our mothers know much better than me or your mother. The question I'm trying to raise here is that, can I understand others without understanding ourselves? So when you are a happy person, you will understand yourself better. And if you understand better yourself, then the understanding of others will not frustrate you. You will not generate negative thoughts. You will not become unhappy because you will put yourself to their shoes and then realize that, well, there are reasons why they made this comment, why they are unhappy, and as a result of which I am also unhappy. So it's a science of understanding self, others, and the community in which we live in. The gurus, so-called gurus, who actually try to help us become happy, they also take this path through their art of happiness. That is, understand yourself. They are correct. I'm not trying to contradict them. I'm only trying to tell you that to understand yourself, what is very much required is to get rid of certain misconceptions about life. Many of us believe that if my career is met, then my life is clear, without realizing that career is within life, life is not within career. So we tell and push students that you have to come first in the class. You have to do very well in the career. You have to get a very good job, without realizing that, well, we the teachers have been pushing them towards a given end without realizing that what would be the ultimate outcome. We believe that if our students get a job, that should be the end of it. Our teaching career is over. Today, I find most of the parents have taken the teacher's job. They actually set a target for their students, for their children's career. And the role has been reversed, as I am doing it to you, that the teacher's job has become to tell the students about life, not about the career. So in our time, when I was a student, some 50 years back, my parents used to talk about life and value. Parents never talk about which subject I must take, where I should go, how will I get a job. Today, parents have been talking about all these things, while teachers have reversed their role. This is not a very happy situation. I think teachers' role is also not to give them career, is life as well. Therefore, the science of happiness as a course we have introduced in IIT Kharagpur. We have thousands of students. It is so popular course that we fail to deregister. We had to deregister some students because we can't accommodate so many students in one class. We have, in 3 years, we have crossed over 4,000 and 5,000 students who took different subjects in happiness. We have not only one course, we have 4 different courses on happiness. At different ways, different facets. I'll talk about it if time permits. So finally, the happiness I'm trying to tell you is about how you can create happiness for others. It's a science because we are giving you a systematic knowledge. We are not trying to tell you something which you have not experienced or for which you do not have knowledge. Science always gives us systematic knowledge, and happiness, if the systematic knowledge is given to you, you would be happy automatically. And you don't need to come up to my age in order to be happy, who got everything, whatever people desire generally. You can make anybody happy if you can create happiness for others. So creating happiness and then becoming happy becomes a long-lasting happiness. But if you want to be happy yourself, without trying to see whether others are happy or not, then you will generate a lot of hatred from others. And that causes unhappiness. Therefore, it's important that we create happiness for others as well. Are these things clear to all of you? Can anybody say?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, why students? We are talking about students. Why we are trying to teach students about happiness? Because this science we are talking about, it helps us to learn the purpose of life. We are not telling about the purpose of going through certain courses. You go through mechanical and you will get this job. You go through electrical, you will get this job. We don't tell all these things in this course. Career is important, absolutely important, but without losing sight about our life as well. That's why I find a lot of people, after getting very good score, after getting position in very good places, they're still unhappy. Depression is so rampant throughout because they have lost sight of life. They have only seen career in them. That's why we have targeted students. Then I found those who are happy students, they are performing better. Why they are performing better? As I told, performance is not about intelligence. One of the greatest misconceptions in our country is that intelligent people can do everything. Actually, intelligent people can do very little. Only average people can do everything. And average people are at times better than intelligent people because they fit into the demands of the life everywhere, because they have capabilities everywhere. Intelligent people are good in certain abilities, but they are mostly sub-average in other abilities. Whereas the average people are average in every ability, which are required to run a life. Life is just not about solving a mathematical problem. Life is all about everything, right from how to purchase a ticket, to how to minimize conflict, to how to acculturate yourself in a new society, how to adapt, how to adjust. Everything comes in life. Therefore, if you give them that input, their mental aperture opens up and they become better performer. We also say that the science of happiness actually helps students to develop skepticism. Skepticism, generally we think in a negative way. Somebody who is argumentative. Now, in our time, if the student agrees with the teacher used to say, "Oh, you are a good student, very good, you could understand." But that philosophy has gone, the paradigm has shifted. We need argumentative students. We need questions. Giving answer is very easy, which the teachers give. Raising questions are much more difficult. So the best way of teaching is to give an answer which raises more questions. So happy people can raise more questions because their mental aperture is very open. And Their happiness helps them how to get rid of the uncertainty, doubt, skepticism. There is more questions. But remember, those questions are not about your personal matter or personality. They raise issue-based question, topic-based question, content-based question, not context-based question or intent-based question. So it's very important that, we make them happy, help them raise more question, give them more confidence the moment there is question. That gives them a lot of confidence. And the science helps us adaptation to change, introduced to newer form of technology. Well, let me tell you, I don't know what is the highest age in this community. Who are in the audience. Let me tell you, I'm a misfit to this generation because of the technology. Now, I have been in US, I have been teaching here in Pennsylvania. I find that when I teach, the students carry their mobile phone and in the supermarket, and they are following me. They are purchasing something else and they are following me. So when I encounter them, they say that this is what you have said, sir, and we very much appreciate it. Now, I find it difficult to go to a supermarket and teach someone through mobile phones. So there is a problem of adapting to new technology. These children whom you are teaching, they can do it in an excellent manner. Why can they do it? Because they are born with technology. So what really happens, human skill doesn't develop every day. Technology develops every day. So there is a big gap between human development and technology development. I have found happier people can actually adapt the technology much better. I have seen it in military also. Since I was as a defense scientist, one of my job is to recruit all officers in the Indian Armed Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force. All service selection boards are with me. So I could understand what is the strength of a generation, because around 9 lakh people used to apply for military services as officer every year. And we have to screen them and get about 400 to 500 of them, including Air Force pilots. I tried to understand what is their best capacity. Their best capacity is that they can adapt technology so well. So that's an advantage to all of us who are teachers, that our students adapt technology so well. So if I find any difficulty with technology, I don't go anywhere. I simply ask the youngest student in my class. You may be doing it to your children if you have a problem in handling the technology, including the mobile phone. So we teach science of happiness to students because this subject matter will give power to new generation. They are really powerful, really powerful. They are engines of growth. Since I visited students everywhere in the world, I have seen this is a common phenomenon. It's a generation. They have come with their brain hardwired for technology. They have got so much of knowledge, so much of power to innovate. They can fight poverty, which we could not do. As a old teacher, I failed. I admit that I failed to do what we were supposed to do for the society. They can fight poverty. They can help sustain health. They can empower the weak. They can do everything. So it's like a puja, offering namaz. It's nothing less than that. So if we can make them happy, can you imagine with their strength and the kind of mental aperture we are talking about, they will innovate every day. we could innovate something in 40 years. They will do it every day. So therefore, we have started this program, and in 3 to 4 years, we have started finding a very good result out of it. Very good result. Already about 4,000 students are cleared. Many of them are settled throughout the world. And I find very good response. I'm not trying to canvas a course, but I'm trying to tell you, if you can make them happy, and happiness in their own way, not the way we are happy. Because we have a tendency, the teachers, to persuade students the way we are persuaded. That probably is a very wrong way of doing it. Therefore, my sincere request to all of you, that let us understand them and try to make them happy the way they feel happy, not the way we feel happy. That is, if you talk about value, they are not valueless people. They are only reality-bound value people. That is reality-bound morality. Their value is based on reality-bound morality. Our value system was probably something was not linked to reality. Therefore, we have missed the bus more often. Now, let me tell you why we have started all these things. Because some of the great institutions just before us, 3 years back, they have started teaching this course. One such is Yale University. They started doing this course, Psychology and the Good Life. And it's one of the most popular courses in Yale University. They find it very difficult to control students. You can look at the internet and see their program. They are trying to give scientific strategies to be happy. How one can happy through science, through scientific strategies. McGill University in Canada, they have introduced a course like how we can make our community happy. Because they believe that happiness comes not through your money, not through any tangible product. Happiness comes through relationship. Today, what is missing probably is the network of relationship. In fact, the photograph that you see is a Harvard University. I had the opportunity to teach there as well in USA as a Fulbright professor. They talk about lifelong happiness, that how we can introduce happiness throughout their lifelong career. And they started doing a research on happiness, what makes a person happy, in 1937. Believe me, 85 years gone, the research is still continuing. A lot of fund is being given in that particular project. And this is probably the oldest project in the world, where more than 85 years, a project is continuing in order to understand what happiness is all about in a longitudinal manner. And if you go to the internet, Harvard University and happiness, you will find about the details about it. And you will find every year they publish a report. The last report they published, they said that over the years we have come to know that happiness comes through relationship. Happiness doesn't come through anything else. Money can give you some happiness, but up to a certain point. I'll talk about it after some slides. Stanford University, they have got a happiness lab. They design life. They don't design career. They design life. So life design lab they have started. And the university where I am right now is University of Pennsylvania. Here we have a big department of happiness, which is run by several laboratories by different professors. I'm not part of that laboratory. I have come here as a neuroscientist. I'm working in the area of psychiatry, neuropsychiatry in the School of Medicine. But I visit there, I go there, and I find that how from helplessness to hope, they are trying to achieve, but the students who are visiting the university. So we are not the pioneer in this course. There are many more universities which are coming up. Idea is not to propagate what the course is. Idea is that even if you don't run the course, you can make your students happy. But in your pedagogy, this issue must be kept into consideration. So, our focus in IIT Kharagpur in happiness is about how we can broaden the intellectual, social, and emotional resource of our students. As I said, we are not only interested in someone's emotional resource, we are interested in the resource of the intellectual, social, and other kind of resources. Idea is to give them more strength through intelligence, through relationship, through feeling, and that's possible through a scientific approach. Then our focus is that if we can make students happy, that will act as a driver for innovation, as a social quality for community growth. Since I was in DRDO, and one of my job was to look after the sub-Himalayan border with China and Pakistan, how people protect themselves from any kind of onslaught. And in that process, I could see that how people develop their community growth. They innovate so many things on their own without a scientific knowledge. Probably an IIT student would not be able to make it. Because in IIT, we produce a lot of good mechanical engineers, but not good mechanics. If you see their innovation, they can innovate many things, right from how to preserve their food, conserve their food during winter, how to get a dress which is winter protected, to how to preserve a plant, to how to sustain health. Everywhere we find that there is an innovation. And that innovation at times we call jugaad. But jugaad is a form of autonomous innovation. Only happy people can make it. Everybody cannot. So we call it as non-expert technology. Non-expert technology. So our focus in happiness is something that brings power to fight poverty. As I said, helps sustain health and strength to the weak. Therefore, our science of happiness is a transdisciplinary approach. We do not bother whether it comes from literature or psychology or economics or sociology or engineering or physics. In fact, everyone put together come to us, which we call as a transdisciplinary approach, because everybody has a role to play in happiness. Our doctor colleagues, medical practitioner colleagues tell how the chemistry in the brain actually help us becoming happy. Why dopamine is so important. Our genetics friend tell that is there any gene for happiness? Is there any hereditary reason for that? Our friends in economy tells that how much money is important to make people happy. Our friends in sociology tell that at what level the community feels that they are happy. World Health Organization comes out with a report of happiness every year. They say how they can make it. Our mathematics friend tell that how can we create a mathematical model for developing happiness. Our engineer students say that how I can develop a technology or an instrument which can make everyone happy. That is, every day they are coming up something. In West Bengal, let me tell you, I'm not sure whether you are familiar with this food or not. There is something called muri, which is some kind of thrashed rice. Everybody takes here. Everybody takes it here, and people have to manually do it. They came up with the machine, how to develop that. Today, it has become a big industry. So a simple innovation from our students made people happy. It's a deliverable outcome. And it came up with the mechanical engineer and electrical engineers. We need small power and a mechanical device. It was created by them. Community become happy. I'm talking about this kind of happiness which can give deliverable. Well, I worked in DRDO also. My scientists and engineers developed rockets. They developed aircrafts. They developed nuclear-powered submarines. That's also important. But also important is the community, whether I'm making my community happy or not with a deliverable outcome. Therefore, we thought we'll go by that. So what we tell them, teach them, then you may be wondering what precisely are the topics, how we approach such topics. We try to tell them through argumentative process. Is it a science or a practice? Does science explain our mind, or it's a pseudoscience? It's a meta science. It's a parascience. What kind of science it is, mind? Now, believe me, if I have to develop a rocket, I'm using the mind. And if I call mind is something which is not science, then how do I develop it? So the space technology and mind technology, mind engineering, there may not be a very radical difference between these two. The question that we try to raise, does science explain our mind? And we invest class on that. Then we ask this question, is it a genotype or a phenotype? Is there a gene for happiness? So we teach about genetics of happiness, that is biology of belief. Why some people are perennially unhappy? Is there a gene for unhappiness? Why some people don't even know how to become happy? Is there a gene? Is it in the heredity? We raise this question. Then well-being and ill-being. That is, if I'm happy, does it mean that I live longer than expected? Do I live long? Well, there are a lot of experimental evidences today. Even Time magazine has come up with a new issue. Even Nature has come up that happy people are living 2 to 3 years additional to their deadline. Because unhappy people damage their own organs through different secretions. These secretions come through neurotransmitters in the brain. I'll not go into the neuroscience of it, but yes, it does promote well-being. Even if it does not enhance your health, your quality of life retains. Some people, even after having everything in hand, they remain ill-being. They never feel happy. So we raise the question, is it a process or an outcome? Well, when do we feel actually happy? What point? Or it is a process? If it is a process, is it a linear process, curvilinear process, or non-linear process altogether? Is it a thinking or a blinking? That is, thinking is your cognitive ability. Is it part of your reasoning? Or happiness is part of your believing, your feeling, emotions? Our approach has been happiness is something which is part of your reasoning, thinking. And if you can promote that thinking, your feeling of happiness will come automatically. But if I try to grab the feeling of happiness without reasonably becoming, happy, then you cannot sustain that kind of happiness. Am I clear to all of you? Can anybody say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do we rewire brain? Brain rewiring is something we look for. Question we raise is whether happiness therefore is a memory or moment. You see, Indian cricket team winning World Cup, they become happy whenever they remember it, or they become extremely happy when they actually become world champion. What kind of happiness will we be talking about? How can I rewire my brain either through memory or moment? Is it a choice or a compulsion? The photograph that you see, everyone can see this photograph? Can anybody say? You can see this photograph, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
दिखाई
Yes,
तो
sir.
दे रहा है ना?
Yes, yes, absolutely, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. I wanted to tell you a story. These two couple, you see, they are from Ukraine. This story came only a month back. They decided to marry each other. They used to love each other. After 3 years of engagement, they married. Immediately after marriage, they had a conflict. They wanted to be separate. Now then, they decided, can they resolve this conflict? That they would not be separated. So they handcuffed themselves. You can see there is a handcuff. They handcuffed themselves and remain in this handcuff for 123 days. Even they used to go to washroom, personal hygiene with their handcuff on. And they thought that by having this physical proximity, they would not be separated. I mean, it's a wonderful story. But after 23 days, they thought, no, we can't be separated. Mentally, we are now attached. It's no more a choice. We like each other. We'll stay together. So after 123 days, this handcuff was cut. They are from Ukraine. Why I'm telling you this story is to tell that, well, whether happiness is a choice or a compulsion, you have to decide after listening to this story. I don't want to give you any conclusion out of it. So the point is, if it is a choice, why so many people in this world are unhappy? Next question that we did, whether it is an affluence or autonomy. That if you have got too much of money, you become happy, or whatever little you have, and if you have the liberty to make use of it, you become happy. That's called autonomy. For example, I'm not a rich man, reasonably good money I have with me. I can eat whatever I like, but I have got blood sugar. Now, even if I have got money, I cannot eat a sweet. I being a Bengali, I like rasgulla, but I can't take it. I have no autonomy. So am I happy? Even if I have got affluence? A lot of people believe that if you have got money, then probably you'll be happy. You have got affluence, you can be happy. That's not true. So a rickshaw puller, why I gave you this example? Because I asked this question to one of the rickshaw while I was in there. That he was actually walking by my side in the evening stroll, and I asked him this question, why don't you pull rickshaw today? He said that, sir, I have earned 600 rupees today. I said, you can earn a little more, abhi to din baki hai, so that you can be secure tomorrow. He says that, wo to aapki chinta hai, this is your problem. I don't have a problem. I got 600 rupees. I know I can feed my family, and tomorrow I can work. So why should I run after that? So that was his logic. And my logic was, that, well, if I get a chance, I should earn more so that I become secure tomorrow. So who is more happy? The person who has got a lot of autonomy, a person who has got a lot of affluence, who has got a lot of money. It's a question to you. And then, what makes us happy? Our thought, our belief. If I believe that I'm a happy person, will I be happy? Or if I think that I will be happy, I'll be happy. Why did I raise this photograph? Because it's the belief which makes us unhappy. It's our belief. The elephant, one of the elephant's leg is tied with a small rope. If the elephant wants, it can actually tear it off without any problem. But the elephant always thinks that he can't or she can't move. So they remain standby with one foot tied with a small piece of rope. It's a belief which makes the elephant entangled. So what happens? Many a time, our mindset becomes more important in happiness rather than our mind. Mind works for thought, thinking. Mindset works for belief. If your mindset is good, even if your thinking or thought is not good enough, you will still be happy. So I gave you the example of this elephant. Then comes hopefulness or helplessness. You see, many people are helpless. You go to the road in Delhi. I got this photograph of one child. He's actually shivering in cold, not having enough food, very poor. But if you take the photograph, you will find she's so happy, much happier than me, who has got suits and boots and everything. What makes a person hopeless, and what makes a person, hopeful? So helplessness to hopefulness. Who is more happy? Person who is helpless, or person who is more hopeful? What is that makes me happy? If I've got a lot of control with myself for everything that goes around me, I call it personal control. If I've got a lot of money, it means I've got personal control with my property. Then I can be happy. But in India, we believe that no. If I am happy or if I have got something, it's because of the Almighty. Negotiable fate. Here in America, I find people become happy if they have got a lot of control on things. In India, we find that we get happiness if we believe that the Almighty is with me. The God is with me, the negotiable fate. So happiness also differs from culture to culture. But one thing is sure, that happiness is best amongst betweenness. If there is betweenness between people, that kind of happiness cannot be purchased by money. If you go by withinness, that is, only you want to be happy at the cost of others' happiness, then that happiness will never sustain. So betweenness and withinness, you have to think about that it is the relationship, the network of social relations actually make us more happy. If people recognize on road, well, if your student recognize you on road, sir, can I help you? Then that happiness cannot be compared with the happiness with the salary that you get based on your teaching profession. And finally, reciprocal othering versus mutual valuing. Well, we have a tendency to see ourselves in comparison to others. We call it comparative standard. I mean, if we go by a comparative standard, mothers always tell their children, better class mein first chana. You have to stand first in the class. What kind of instructions we have been given? That you are better than others. You have to prove that you are better than others. Instead of mutual valuing. Mutual valuing gives you happiness, which is self-standard. If you go by your own standard, then you will value others. But if you go by others' standard, you will develop a tendency, negative tendency, which we call reciprocal othering. They are different. We are different. Why different? Why not we can belong to each other? Belongingness gives you strength. Othering gives you an identity, but with a pinch of salt. So the courses, now I'll go through quickly. The courses that we teach, what are the misconceptions and truth about happiness? In fact, I'll be telling you, giving you some slides. The evolution of happiness and the biology behind. Happiness in India and abroad. How other cultures are happy. Why Finland is more happy as compared to India. Machine intelligence and emotional intelligence. Can I humanize a machine? Affect computing and synthetic empathy. We teach empathy, apathy, antipathy, empathy. We teach all kinds of pathy. And we also teach, is it possible to compute somebody's emotion through computer vision? Because we have mostly engineer students. So they can actually develop code and algorithm to read face through machine intelligence and come to a conclusion of affective computing. So, misconception, evolution and biology. This is Charles Darwin's, in his book, The Expression of Emotion in Man in Animal, 1876, he wrote this book and gave this photograph of emotions. India and abroad, how many countries are happy in this world? If you see India, India is in red. Out of 156 countries, India's rank is 141. Machine and emotional intelligence, affective computing, and synthetic empathy. These are the courses we teach. We also teach sensing and communicating, how you can communicate best, sense others' feeling. We teach optimism and pessimism, why some people remain optimistic, some people remain pessimistic. But we also tell that students should not go behind optimism bias. At times we are optimistically biased that nothing will happen to me. That kind of optimism we do not like. Happiness with success and failure. If you fail, how to become resilient, how to bounce back, why failure is so important in life. We teach why somebody who has never failed in life is so unfortunate. Actually, failure, somebody who has never failed is a very unfortunate person because they would never learn. Whatever they have in disposal, they will make use of it, but they will not be able to learn something out of failure. And making and becoming, how we can make the handicapped children happy. So our students come up with a lot of assistive technologies like autistic children, dyslexic children, handicapped children, blind children, people. What kind of technologies we can develop in order to see them happy. In fact, they come out with a lot of technologies as a project, which we call as assistive technologies. That in order to make others happy, you have to devise technology. Therefore, as I said, if you can make others happy, you become happy. You don't need to be happy through a guru all the time. You can. That's your choice. But I feel that as a teacher, if I can promote students towards creating happiness for others, that gives us a much better happiness and satisfaction for all of us. Some great misconceptions in next 10 minutes I'll tell, and then of course I can take up your questions, because as I say, happiness is is a science. And if it is a science, you must understand that you have to get rid of the misconceptions. You do not have to read physics, chemistry for this. Just simply move away from misconception. You become happy automatically. That's one approach Yale University and Stanford University has taken. We have also taken up this approach, and we are no big, but this is the approach we have taken up. One approach is that more money does increase happiness is a huge misconception. The photograph that you see is a person called Daniel Kahneman. He is a Nobel laureate in economics. He has done research on lakhs of people in US. And his research, for that he got Nobel Prize, found that happiness began to plateau after a decent salary. He said, anybody who gets up to $75,000 per year in US may be equivalent to about 15 lakh or 12 lakh rupees in India. I mean, 1 lakh rupees a month. Any amount that you get thereafter, maybe there will be some hint of happiness if you get more, but it does not increase your happiness significantly. So we have pay commissions. I mean, since I have gone through 4th pay commission, 5th pay commission, 6th pay commission, 7th pay commission also, 2016. Every pay commission I find that people are becoming happy for certain days. Within 1 month, their happiness evaporates and they think about the next pay commission. So it means they are not happy. So after a decent salary, anything that increases, it does not create more happiness. In 4th pay commission, when I started teaching, my salary was in Banaras University, it's a central university, 760 rupees. So with my first increment of 90 rupees, I become extremely happy. But in 7th pay commission, when I was retiring from DRDO, not from IIT, my salary increased by about 19,000 rupees. Now question is, those 90 rupees brought much more happiness as compared to 19,000 rupees at the point when I was retired. So more money does not increase happiness. It's a misconception. And if someone has lower income, it does not cause sadness at least. I gave you the example of Rick's Optimism. The next misconception is that you become happy when you receive gift from someone. Science has published this report. Just imagine this volume. This is just not art. The research has suggested that happiness level goes much higher when you purchase a gift for someone you love. And this man has done research in 136 countries. The report has been published in Science. They found that when you purchase a gift for someone else, you become much more happy as compared to a condition when you receive a gift. So it's a misconception that if you get gift, you will be happy. This man did another fantastic research, that freedom of choice enhances happiness. That is, if you get 6-7 jobs at one time, you would be very happy. The research says something else. You become extremely unhappy in that process. But if you get 2 jobs, and out of which you have to choose, probably even 1 job, then your happiness is much more. The point is that it's better to have some choice than no choice, but having too many choices reduce happiness. Because your brain gets clogged up. You go to a cloth shop, you want to see a shirt for yourself. If you go to a shop and the shopkeeper shows you 20 different shirts, your choice gets troubled. In fact, in behavior economics, we teach this thing, that too many choices actually paralyzes your thought. You should not have cognitive load of that many choices. So it's a misconception that if you get more choices, you'll be more happy. Likewise, those who are in teaching profession and students, longer vacations will make us happier. If you get long vacation, it will make you happy. The point is, 2 weeks of vacation is not twice as good as 1 week vacation. If you get 2 days vacation, then at times you enjoy that much more. In long vacation, memories mix. You get bad memories as well in long vacation, and you feel like going back to your own place of work. So it does not make one happier. I remember when I first had gone my home from Varanasi to Calcutta. I still remember the cost of the ticket was 29 rupees, and there was no reservation. And you cannot imagine the kind of happiness I had when I moved from Varanasi to Calcutta for only 3 days of vacation. But the question is that the misconception is that, well, we should opt for longer vacation and that will make us happier. Like in retirement, that when we retire, all our problems will go. In fact, our problems start at that point of time. So longer vacations will not make you happier. Happiness comes from attaining something and keeping it forever. Many of the staff will believe that if I become happy, I should not use it. I should try to maximize my happiness by keeping it. That's not true. Happiness, one should not be happy all the time. It's always good to have a bad day in a week. It's always good to understand what suffering is all about. If you are not suffering, you cannot be happy as well. You would never realize how to practice happiness. It's like if you are a fish within the pond, you will never realize how the pond looks like because you have never come out of the pond. So if you are always happy, you would never be understanding what is called happiness, what is called suffering. And if you suffer and through that process you become happy someday, your happiness becomes much more. That's why Mahatma said that to rejoice in happiness is to invite misery. If you want to be happy all the time, you will actually invite misery. Real happiness springs from sorrow and suffering. He suffered, and many of our freedom fighters suffered. And because of their suffering, we are happy today. But if we want that, we should not go through sorrow and suffering, then we are making another mistake. Negative memories prevent people from being happy. It's a misconception. Research shows that if you can forgive someone, then your burden goes off like anything. You just forgive people. Because the way you carry your stress becomes much more, it becomes a way of carrying unhappiness if you carry the load of negative memories. Instead, if you have got a bad relation with somebody, just forgive. Much of your stress will go, long-term stress will go. The study shows that forgiving people have more physical fitness, better quality of life. So simply forgive, your load of negative memory will go. Last 2 slides. Why we are unhappy? Quickly, let me tell you. Because we compare ourselves with others. Comparison with self brings improvement. Comparison with others brings discontent. So self-standard is always a better standard than comparative standard. You compare yourself with your standard. If you have not made well, you try to reach up to that level of your standard, but at least don't compare with others. By not having gratitude, we develop unhappiness. We do not wake up in the morning with the gains that we have. Rather, we focus on the things that we have learned. So, this is a famous theory of behavior economics of loss aversion. If you gain 200 rupees, it doesn't matter to you. But if you lose 100 rupees, it actually matters too much for you. You will never remember if two things occurred simultaneously with you. That is, you gained 200 rupees and at the same time you lost 100 rupees. You will remember that you have lost 100 rupees. So, morning when we get up, we try to focus on what we have not achieved, what we could not get, what we have lacked, rather than what we have gained yesterday. Lack of gratitude. So I tell my IIT students that you have come to IIT, cracked IIT, but did you ever show your gratitude to your parents, to the servant who served your food, to the people, to your friends who could not make it, but who give you a lot of support during your days of struggling? Unless you have got a sense of gratitude, you would never be happy. Then getting stuck in comfort zone. A lot of people are unhappy because they want to retain their happy place. That is the comfort zone. A lot of people say that, sir, I would like to do my specialization in chemistry because I got highest marks in chemistry. But that's your comfort zone. That's why you are interested. But you will never grow there. If the subject that has not given you more marks, and if you are not interested in that, you will remain in the comfort zone. You will lose sight of many more things in the world apart from chemistry. And then living always in the past or future. Every minute, every second, we are bombarded with a lot of information, thoughts. About 60,000 thoughts come every day. 95% of them are repeats. And with every thought, there is a neural fire. You lose glucose in the brain, energy in the brain with every thought. And if those thoughts are repetitive thoughts, you lose a lot of energy in the brain. So anxious people always live in the future, and depressed people always live in the past. Last slide. Happiness does not come, therefore, always from material gains. That's the conclusion. It's not only meant for those who deserve it, it's for everybody. Happy people are no different from unhappy people. Happy people are same people. They only process information differently. Their processing of information is different. And it's a choice. They believe that if you want to be happy, you can be happy. Therefore, some pursue happiness, others create it. And that's what the message I wanted to give you. Thank you so much. If there is any question, I can take it up.
Thank you, Professor. Participants, please interact with the professor. Please make use of the session and get more inputs from the professor.
Sir, this is ma'am 122 Lingeshwar Prasad. Can I have a chance to interact?
Yes,
Please, sir, please.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, namaste.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have such an eminent personality like you, interaction and all. It's wonderful, sir. Sir, I need a small clarification actually. Like when it comes to the benchmark of happiness, right? Why there is an extreme difference between Finland and Afghanistan?
Well, when we talk about happiness in terms of World Happiness Standard, I don't believe them. Reason being that what the World Happiness Index says is about living standard.
Oh,
their happiness comes out of living standard. Now, they don't make a difference between living standard and happiness. If your living standard is very high, you are a happy person. So, it's more about living standard rather than of true happiness. After you go to our road, ask a beggar. Or I asked several, I belong to a farmer community. And I asked in my village, farmers, are you happy? So they say, what makes you think that I am unhappy? And they are very poor people. So the
Because
question is,
actually, yes, sir. It came to my notice that Finland, in a row for the fourth time, bagged the award of happiest country in the world, and
yes,
Afghanistan is still in the last position. And unfortunately, India was in position number 140 out of 149 countries.
yeah, I
Even
know this.
even this is absolutely what see, we got wonderful personalities like you, but still why our place is in 140 out of 149?
156 actually today, because I'm part of that study.
Okay.
And we have been doing a lot of research on that. We are trying to, create a different narrative against that index, because India is a country with 1.4 billion. We cannot give living standard to everybody, but what we can give them, the autonomy. That you can do. We are a democracy. You will get what you want to. If you have got 20 rupees, it's your liberty that you can make use of 20 rupees the way you would like. Go to China. If you have got 20 rupees, that 20 rupees is the government property. You ask a government, how can I make my own use, my money? So that kind of happiness, probably they are not considering, because it's not possible. They are doing it. This is a UN resolution after 2011. And the person who did World GNH, I don't know whether you have heard the name of Gross National Happiness.
Yes,
GNH.
sir. Yes, sir. GNH. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That director of GNH is also working with me in the same department, in the same Reiki Center.
Great.
We are working together.
Great.
His name is Dr. Sambhu Chatri.
Okay.
He's also working with me. So we discuss all these things. The question is, living standard cannot be our kind of happiness. We are happy because of our relationship. We can die for our spouses. We can die for our children. But in America, I find that even a simple conflict will separate them. And they still say that they are happy. I don't know what kind of happiness they are talking about.
Yes, sir. Sir, one more query, sir. With your expertise, are you trying to pass any kind of message to the brain drain what we are having today? All IITs and IISCs and IIMs, these people are absolutely not in a position to settle in our country, and they feel quite happy to fly away. But ironically, after going there also, they are not happy. Okay, then why they are not coming back actually?
They're coming back. This is called escape from. It's called escape from freedom syndrome.
Oh, okay.
This is called escape from freedom syndrome. As long you are not free, you want to be free. The moment you are given freedom, then you try to escape it. Okay. For example, I came here as a Fulbright professor.
Okay.
This is my third Fulbright attempt. With first Fulbright attempt only, I got G card, green card. 1986, of course.
Fantastic.
But I rejected it. I thought that doesn't give me. I'm not talking about myself. There are many children today, I think, that they should pursue some academics because of better logistics and infrastructure, but they should come back. And many of them are coming back. In IIT itself, I can tell you, there is a reverse brain drain. It's a good sign for the country.
Do you put any kind of do you insist that point to your students, sir, that they are supposed to come back on something like that?
Actually, I am working also for that national education, new education policy. Okay. So, well, we have to create opportunity first, then we can insist. Correct. It's a science of happiness. I'm not talking about the course. I'm talking about you have to make them happy with the current infrastructure.
Okay.
Infrastructure not for salary. They want laboratory. They want logistics. They want support. They want publication. They want, innovation. That ambience must be there.
Okay.
We are trying to create that ambience. Slowly we are doing it. I'm very helpful. Of course, I'm belong to different generation, but I'm very hopeful. Our children are much better. Our students are much better than what we were.
I would like to add a point when you said about the generation gap and all, and you admitted that it was not comfortable for you to accept this generation attitude and all that. Actually, the same thing came across, like with my experience also. I'm glad to share that 2012, I was chosen as a goodwill ambassador representing our country to United States, actually.
Okay.
And I was
Okay,
invited
great.
by University of Michigan, actually.
Okay. Okay.
There, after attending a business school session, right, I was just waiting, that the dean's cab to pick up, actually. Like, I was just waiting at the lobby. One of, like a student, I don't actually who he was. He just, he was passing by, and then he patted my back saying that, well, that's a good lesson, man. That's all. He just patted my back and he went away, actually. Like, so this kind of activity, I don't think so we can receive it in India, actually, if you agree with me, actually. And I've noticed, like people coming with 3/4 into the class and sitting with cross legs on, say on the chair and all, right. I agree with that. It was all, I just refreshed my memories with your interaction. Like, it was absolutely a great.
Actually,
Yeah. Yes, sir. It's
that's a good lesson.
yes, sir. Yeah, and it's absolutely wonderful interaction, sir. We are absolutely, like blessed with such an eminent.
Don't tell me. We are all colleagues, and we should retain our relationship.
Oh, no.
Talking is just a medium.
Correct, sir. Correct. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. God bless us all. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, sir, it was really a wonderful session from you, and to meet a eminent personality like you was indeed my privilege. But one aspect I just wanted to ask you is India has a country which has 70% below the poverty line, right? And the people in the lower categories, they are very happy, no doubt, with whatever they have. But other than that, sir, besides this, I just wanted to say, nowadays you find that lot of art of living programs are being carried out. But does it really make us happy? Because
that's the point I wanted to tell you. I am not trying to propagate the art of happiness. I'm trying to tell the science of happiness. Instead of, this is my view, that if we get rid of our misconceptions that more money will not get me more happy, probably I'll be happy with whatever I get, but happiness doesn't come only through money and material personal control. I can derive happiness from personal relationship, my identity, my contribution. The way tell me, is there any mother who wants to be happy at the cost of their children? So mother's happiness is something what I wanted to bring an analogy for you. Mother became happy because the child grows well, mother become happy.
very true.
Here also we, the teacher, must be happy if our students are doing well.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's not the, the Harvard study also found the same thing. Ultimately, what matters, if you go to any old age home in US, he will start crying. My father just passed away some couple of months back, 91 years old. And the last moment, he blessed me with a lot of happiness, telling that probably I have gotten more than what I deserve.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
So, can you imagine that kind of happiness in US? So I'm talking about that kind of happiness. Is the relationship that can, you see the relationship between a teacher and a student.
Values.
My child may not be able to pay that much of respect as compared to what my worst student has done it for me. So I think it's all about the relationship. That gives us happiness, which World Happiness Index never takes care of. They can't believe relationship can give you happiness.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening,
evening.
sir. Thank you so much for your session. Myself, Vishal. I'm from the service industry and now is in academics. So normally, what we have realized that if someone is giving a service to the customer, after that they are if they get some positive feedback, so they become much more happier than if they are getting a financial tip. Now, my sir, can we have some culture of happiness, something that we can look for
The
in a
culture of
society?
happiness.
Yeah, something that we can thought of that in the society or in a you can say village, that we should start working on something that everyone should, because it's very difficult. India is very vast and very difficult to make happy everyone happy. But can't we do some project or something on a small section, and we'll try to spread it?
We are doing projects on millions of rupees on happiness. Actually, India, you are very correct. India is a very vast country. But the problem of happiness is not in villages, more in the urban societies. Actually, honestly speaking, I believe that happiness was never given a status of science. We always had a misconception about happiness, how one can become happy. Our first effort is to make sure that the people get rid of their misconceptions and then try to develop a proper picture of happiness. I mean, who is really happy and why I should try to be happy all the time? My point is,
Yes.
because it's always
Yes.
good to have a bad day. Unless you have a bad day, you will never realize what happiness is all about. Therefore,
Exactly.
bad day will come when you get a better opportunity to learn. I mean, learning, failure only gives us learning. Failure gives you root. Success gives you wings.
Yes.
If you do not get a root, and then immediately, without getting a root, you get the wing to success, doesn't give you happiness. You should have both root as well as wings. I hope I could answer. We can discuss
Yes,
some
sir. Yes,
other
sir.
day.
Yes, sir.
Now that
Right, sir.
I have to
Thank you, sir.
university also.
Yes, sir. And it's
So,
morning for you, and thank you for
so
the
much
time, sir.
for the opportunity.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you, sir. Thank you so much. This was a very wonderful session. Usually, all the participants usually will be there by 120 at least. 120 participants will be there. Being it is evening here, as they have to rush up for the transport for traveling. So probably we have got around 90 participants.
Yeah, I
Actually,
could see
we will
that.
be missing you. But the only great thing is we will be uploading all the video in YouTube. So probably who would have missed the speech today, they will be getting benefited through that. Sometimes recording sessions will also be really beneficial. Yes,
That's true, and I'll be happy if you can actually, pass this message, and I'll be happy to answer everyone. I mean, I may not be able to answer right away because of time constraint, but honestly speaking, if somebody wants to connect me, you have everything with of mine.
yes.
They can write to me, I can answer them, and if required, they can visit to our centers after the pandemic goes over. So all opportunities are there. This is just a beginning. This is not the end of it. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you.
Also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We needed to have a screenshot.
Yeah. I have taken the screenshot of our eminent speaker, but reminding participants, please let me open the gallery. That is, you all take your video on so that we will have a screenshot. Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, video
Please
is
switch on all
little-
your camera, please.
Okay. Right, ma'am. Ma'am is showing as disabled. Video is disabled.
No, now we have, Sahaj, will you be able to enable that?
Madam, you video.
Enable, ma'am.
Enable
It
video.
is enabled.
Yes, it's enabled.
Ma'am, in my showing, you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it. My
Okay.
is
Can you please tell me
201
your name?
Vishal Chandra Pandey.
Kindly enable the
Vishal
video.
Chandra
I
Pandey,
cannot take note.
201.
Open my video.
Okay, now it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, then. Fine.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
120 also.
120. Sahaj, please help me.
Yes, ma'am. Already done.
Yeah.